From now on, I'm going to only listen to this silver expert right here. Anyway, um, there's a rumor out there. I don't know how, well, let me put it as a rumor. It's probably going to take off maybe later on, but there's a rumor out there that there's so much silver being bought up by China through this enormous order, and it's causing a problem with Europe being able to fulfill orders for the local bullion dealers for Europe. So there's supposed to be this big Chinese order out there for silver. That may be because, they're preparing for the future. The future may not come right away, but it's always like prepare for the future, and that's really what you should do. But silver is just one aspect of the scenario for preparing for the future. But there's a lot of other things coming up where they can eat your money, and I guess that's part of it's going to be through the Obamacare and some of the other things that are going on with the spying and stuff that the president doesn't know about. But not to even just reflect so much on Obama, but a lot of these things, policies that came about through even the national health care or the spying and all this other garbage that affects people. It's come about through like the Bush administrations, the Clinton administrations, even the Reagan administrations. It's like ever since John F. Kennedy was assassinated, things have been going not too good, Not too good, to tell you the truth. I think that was the last bastion of freedom we had was JFK. And maybe Richard Nixon might have been a little bit that way too, because, he got burned, didn't he? He got burned, didn't he? It makes you wonder. He pissed off somebody. It wasn't just over the minor political spying, because that looks like a joke compared to what's going on today, doesn't it? I mean, he probably pissed off somebody else too. But one of the reasons you should get silver is to be a little bit more independent from the system, because the whole game is going to be, for the elite, let's call them the elite, whatever, the guys that are on top, to have control, they have to pay people to enforce their controls, right? Whatever the hell they're looking to do. And without doing, in other words, they have to pay people in something. And, that's one of the big problems going, because without the money, they lose the loyalty of the people around them, don't they? Isn't that a fact? Isn't that a fact? I mean, look back at what happened in Rome. Look at the year of the four emperors, Nero, Galba, Otho, Vitellius, and Vespasian in 69 AD. Actually, I named five there probably, but, it was after Nero. There was four emperors in 1 year in quick succession. Loyalties got traded very quickly upon, money. So, if the money collapses, I guess the only way to really be independent is to actually have things that actually have intrinsic real value, and silver's one of those things. It's been around so damn long. So I'm just presenting the old common sense thing why you have it, but it's not the only damn thing you have. You can't eat silver, right? Food is more important than silver, ain't it? Even energy is more important than silver. How would you like to live in a world without electricity, like the world before Nikola Tesla, and have a whole pile of silver? It's not going to do you a lot of good, right? So, I mean, but there's something coming up. There's this rumor out there, and I don't know how good it is. I read it. I try to read a lot of stories and try to get through what's maybe more pertinent. But it looks like the Chinese have put in this enormous order. That's what's been on a scuttlebutt. I'll label it as scuttlebutt because, anytime there's garbage like this, it doesn't really mean that silver's going to go up $10 in a week or something. But it's another indication that the Chinese are preparing for the future. They've been placed in such an enormous order for silver that it's caused that, the bullion dealers in Europe are supposedly having problems getting silver because of this enormous order trying to be fulfilled that the Chinese placed. So, I don't know. But, the writing's on the wall eventually. And, will silver be used as money in the future someday? Probably not. Probably not. It's probably, actually I've alluded to the whole problem all along. It's debt-free money that's more important. When the Continental Congress in the United States, before we even had, the USA and the Constitution, what they did was they issued their own fiat money. Now, of course, they issued so much of it that it went to not worth a Continental and it wasn't worth anything. But the point is, there was no interest attached to it. That's the really important thing. And, if you do it more responsibly, you see, if it comes directly from the House of Representatives, the people can have a lot more control as to what's going to happen in the future. Fiat money like that can actually work. Even when they had that experiment when I talked about in Austria, not confusing that with Austrian economics, but it happened to be an experiment in Depression era Austria, and I'm going to point another link to that because I think it's important. They wound up having to issue way less fiat money than necessary because the money actually circulated around the system a lot faster. Because you see, when these guys do QE with with the Federal Reserve, none of that money hits the middle class. It don't hit the middle class. It's only supporting the big banks. We know this. That's the whole problem. And they have an incentive to keep the money in, on store. Now, if they lose that incentive to keep the money on store, that's going to force the Fed to raise the interest rates, right? And then the whole game is going to go kaput, because if they raise the interest rates, it's going to kill the economy, because real estate's going to go down and big ticket items are not going to be sold because of interest rates going up. And just to give you a little common sense 101 on real estate and construction, approximately, this is a fact, almost 50% of the entire economy of the USA is real estate and construction related. So if they raise interest rates, it really, it stops the sales of all these big ticket home buying and stuff. And guess what happens? Whammo. Because what happened originally, before we even had the 2009 crisis, what happened in 2007, the real estate market crashed, and then it was one thing to another. That is why I suspect that when we had the crash in the metals in April of 2013, and now most of the people are long, net long, most of them are net long, we're probably going to be coming up with an equities crash. But it's not going to be a forever crash. It's going to be a crash, and then they're going to print a lot more money, and it's going to go up higher than it ever did again. So if you get caught in the middle with the crash and you have equities, you better not sell them. George Soros making his bet that they're going to crash. That might be a good bet. I'm not doing that, though. I'm just sitting pat with the metals, and I think they're going to go up. Like it seems to be a pattern of every 3 years. Now that I really look back at it very objectively, it seems to be, we had a height in 2005. We had a height in 2008, then it crashed. But it was the high in 2008 on silver and gold. Then we had a high in 2011, 3 years later. And there was a high in silver on April, end of April. And the high of gold was I think it was very beginning of September 2011. But, they were pretty much just moving together. Even silver was over 40 around in August and the beginning of September of 2011. Then it crashed. 3 years later would put it at 2014. And you're looking at these things, these events coalescing. We had the thing with, Obamacare's coming up. God, man, that's going to kill the economy. The thing with the debts problem, the debt ceiling is going to be, a major issue in very early 2014. Obama's being called out for not pursuing his, when he had the opportunity to get Assad, he didn't pursue it. So maybe the Syrian war is going to be back on the burner again. I think the Middle East is actually going to be the thing that's actually going to push the metals up really high. Really high. A lot of tensions in the Middle East. And when that happens, but you know what's going to happen? I think by 2015, it's going to be down again. It'll be, maybe not down to 20, 22 or 18 or probably down to 40 or something, because maybe it's going to go, I don't know exactly. That's a good point, because somebody pointed out, I suspected that when it hits 50, it's going to blast through 50 in 2014. and hit a lot of resistance on the next Fibonacci point of 72 to 75. But then again, 50 might be such major resistance that may be the point it gets up to in 2014. And then it corrects again down to like 40 or 35 or something like that. But I think 2014 is going to be a fantastic year for silver. So, that's probably when I might sell a little bit of it. I definitely not going to sell any right now. No way. And, it's, if the Chinese are actually did this enormous order like this rumor mongering is saying, the scuttlebutt is saying, because I don't see any, source documents that say this. It's just word of mouth, why are the bullion dealers not being able to supply, all the, the bullion to, the people that need it and stuff. It's because they're trying to fulfill a large Chinese order. That's the rumor. So, may be true, but that doesn't mean silver's going up $10 by next month, but it means that that's a good indication for the future. Chinese are a little bit long range, save for the future. And if you don't have any silver, I would recommend you buy a few coins at a time. You don't need to buy a monster box and try to freaking, save, just at least buy a little bit here and there if you don't have any. Just buy a little bit. It's probably a smart thing to do. And don't, that's the money you would have spent blowing it, going to some place or bars or whatever. There's people that blow like $100 on a weekend like nothing. They can save a few coins here and there. That's probably a smart idea to do, because I think later on you'll find it's going to have a very good return, excellent return. And if all these crazy things happen that some of these conspiracy buffs say, they might do a bail-in someday, just like Cyprus. And if you have your money outside the system, that's one big advantage of having silver, isn't it? One big advantage. Not the only advantage, but that's one big advantage. So let's see what happens, because, I don't think things are going too well in the United States, unless you live in Hawaii. If you live in Hawaii, you got it made. Because, you got the continental United States here, you got Hawaii out here, you got your own little country, so you're cool over there. Now, Florida is not too bad, but, I think it's good overall, to tell you the truth, but I think some people in Florida have it, I think of it as sort of like a semi-island, so I don't mind it, but that's just my way of thinking of it. But I think a lot of people in Florida don't like it here, but depends on what their situation is, how their outlook is and stuff like that. And it has a lot to do with everything. And I just want to leave you on this note, because, the doom and gloomers are bad news. I see this all the time. Alex Jones and his Fabian guy and this other guy with, I don't know, he's got his head shaved and stuff. He's always like scaring the crap out of people. He's got a hair about this short, These guys are, that ain't helping. You're buying silver not because the earth is going to fall apart. It's because you're going to make some money later on, Just don't put all your money into it. Just buy a few ounces here and there, and you'll be all right. I don't know. It looks like the Chinese are buying a lot of it, so they're smart. Follow what they're doing.